1816 had been an unexpectedly tough year for the world, with the eruption of Mount Tambora the previous year in the Indonesian islands, which had caused a lowering of Earth's temperatures, resulting in harsh, unpredictable weather throughout Europe and North America. The disrupted upper atmosphere brought torrential rains, sudden storms containing giant hail, scorching heat, and localized floods, which prompted the loss of grain harvests, potato crops, and cattle that died in the fields. Food prices shot through the roof as famine spread across countries. Lowered nutritional health in populations encouraged cholera and other diseases to take an outrageous toll on humanity. Despite Napoleon having met his Waterloo the year before and being given a permanent timeout in Saint Helena for his bad behavior, the end of 12 years of Napoleonic Wars, punctuated at the signing of the Treaty of Paris on November 20th of 1815, had not improved the world's spirits in the year following. But as God often does when things seem darkest, there was a spark of light being born in the small poverty-stricken village of Mariapfarr, even if its humble location made a needy world unaware of its existence. Yet, it was in the wintry stillness of mid-December that the 24-year-old Joseph Moore found himself lost in thought, as he made his way home from the church where he served as the parish priest for the unassuming little village nestled in the charming mountains of Austria. The sun had long ago slipped beneath the horizon, leaving the fathomless sky littered with brilliantly sparkling stars as his only light. The snowy landscape he slogged through acted as a foil, accentuating the drastic contrast between earth and sky. And while the visual all around him deepened his feelings of awe and peace, his mind was filled with the images painted on the wall of the 12th century church he had just departed from. The sweet sleeping baby Jesus with his Virgin Mother and the three Magi had remained in his thoughts the entire walk home. The thoughtful priest was struck by the tenderness of the moment between mother and child. He himself was not unfamiliar with how deep the bond of a mother and son could be when faced with difficult circumstances. His own birth had been overshadowed by his mother's unwed status and his father's unwillingness to play any part in his upbringing. His childhood had been filled with ridicule and financial hardship, despite his loving mother's fierce protection, until a choir master in his hometown of Salzburg had recognized his giftedness in music and taken it upon himself to secure an education for the fatherless boy that included training in playing a variety of instruments, such as the organ, guitar, and violin. By the time Joseph found himself opening his own door and stepping into his front room, verses of prose were tumbling through his head, and he immediately sat down and wrote the 6-stanza poem that simply and poignantly brought the birth of the Christ child to life. With the poetry now safely entrusted to the paper, the priest carried on with his duties. The little poem's time hadn't quite arrived, and for 2 years it remained tucked away amongst his things, until December of 1818. Joseph, who had suffered an illness that sent him home to Salzburg for a time, before being assigned as priest to St. Nicholas Church in Oberndorf, Austria, was at his wits' end. It was Christmas Eve, and the organ in the church was nearly silent, only half-heartedly wheezing out a note here and there when coaxed, its pipes corroded by exposure to the moisture from the nearby Salzach River that had more than once encroached upon the little church in which the old organ sat. The choir, painstakingly rehearsed by his friend Franz Gruber, could not be expected to sing the elaborately arranged Christmas hymns without any accompaniment, and the midnight service, with its dramatic performance of the Christmas story, would have to be done without music. How would he ever be able to relate the holiness, the beauty, and the joy of this special night without any music? The organ repairman could not make it to the village until the week after Christmas, which would be exactly a week too late, and the only musical instrument available was his guitar, which was completely inappropriate for hymns. It was at this point that the desperate young priest remembered his poem, written 2 years previously, and an electrifying shot of hope coursed through his body as he hurriedly pulled out the sheet of paper and unfolded it. If his friend Franz could set the little poem to music that could be played on a guitar, perhaps it could be sung after the service, before everyone headed home. For his part, Franz, who had been equally disheartened by the lack of an organ to accompany his hard-working choir, eagerly took the challenge of composing music for the poem. And despite the lateness of the afternoon, The two worked tirelessly to complete the song so that it could be performed that night. Upon arriving at the church, they realized it was too late to teach the choir the new song, and Franz suggested they simply repeat the last line of each stanza, and he and Joseph would harmonize the rest, as they had all afternoon. Just after midnight, in the first moments of Christmas Day, the congregation waited as the priest brought his guitar to the front of the church, and in his rich tenor voice, supported by his friend's bass harmony, sang out the lines that had been born 2 years ago and had been waiting patiently to make its debut. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright. Round yon Virgin, mother and child, holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace. The worshippers sat entranced in their seats as the heavenly carol swelled around them, moving their hearts with the combination of the beautiful music and the perfect simplicity of the holy story. The people found themselves still singing the song and humming the tune a week later when the organ repairman had arrived. And again the little song did its work, and the organist, deeply moved by its beauty, committed it to memory and introduced it to a traveling family of singers, made up of the Stasser sisters, who added it to their own list of songs, performing it throughout German-speaking areas of Europe. Stille Nacht, as it was known, was soon beloved throughout Europe, and being sung in pews and in homes at Christmas time, with King Frederick Wilhelm IV, the Prussian monarch, even declaring the song as his favorite Christmas carol. By this point, people had lost sight of the song's origins and had attributed the music to Mozart or Beethoven, unable to fathom a piece so beautiful being composed by anyone lesser. In 1839, another musical group of singing sisters, the Ranier family, performed the carol in New York City's Trinity Church in German. The American audience loved it, despite being unable to fully understand the words. There was just something about the little song that transcended the language barrier, and its popularity continued to grow rapidly. But in 1863, John Freeman Young translated Joseph Moore's and Franz Gruber's Stille Nacht into English, allowing the world its first glimpse of Silent Night, with its powerful message sung to the tempo of a lullaby. Eventually, the original sheet music, written in Joseph's own handwriting, was found and authenticated after having been thought completely lost, and the credit for the little song was returned to its creators, though we are certain that Joseph and Franz would both argue that the song, that has since been translated into 140 languages and become the best-known Christmas carol of all time, was a gift given from a divine hand at exactly the moment the world needed it the most. We hope you enjoyed today's video Advent opening, and if you have, please consider taking a quick moment to like, comment on, and even share the video with your own friends and family, as it all helps our channel continue to grow. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you later.